And our guest today is Western Force Super Rugby Club CEO Tony Lewis, who's no doubt pretty chuffed about his team's outstanding victory over the Brumbies last weekend. Tony, welcome and congratulations on the club's outstanding performance last weekend.
Yeah, I think that the team under Simon's been doing very, very well for quite some time. Any Australian team or any New Zealand team that comes to Australia and scores 18 tries, which we did in our three New Zealand games, would normally come away with a couple of victories. Unfortunately, we didn't. So I've been able to see the building blocks, and with an average age of 22, 23 in the squad, it was magnificent to watch. That first 21 minutes was some of the best rugby I've seen of the team that I've been involved with.
Yeah, well, he just blew the Brumbies off the park basically in that first quarter.
Yeah, look, I think there's a number of reasons. Obviously the style of rugby that Simon's wanted the team to play, but he was really strict on no penalties. I don't think we gave a penalty away. I think where it sort of turned there was when the referee said it wasn't a forward pass, where I was looking, the guy's definitely behind the 10-yard line and the ball ends up over the 10-yard line. And I don't know what group of physics they're using, but what I was taught at St Paul's School in Dunedin, using the old protractor, that definitely looked a forward pass by about 10 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. Probably the same theory they used to rule out that Highlanders try by Sam Gilbert.
Yeah, it's really hard to understand, and we don't want to bag referees because we can't do without them. But at the moment, I think we've got the greatest game of sport in the world with the changes in interpretations, and if the referees could just work out what that looks like to make sure the punters want to watch the game. It breaks my heart when you see Justin Marshall and Wayne Smith saying they can't watch the game on TV anymore, and it's nothing to do with this game. It's actually to do with how it's being interpreted, it's a difficult one. I understand they're all trying to get World Cup spots and show they know the laws, but we have to watch the game week in, week out.
Yeah, I think people lose sight of the fact, or administrators and a lot of the parties concerned with rugby lose sight of the fact that it's in the entertainment industry, and I just feel as though they've lost sight of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I said to someone the other day, have we got it all wrong by having referees at high performance level, ex-referees manage referees? And would it be better to give it to a marketeer or a brand manager or a life skill coach or someone just outside it? Because basically learning the rules is basically 101 how we go to school, but just for the referees and the people that manage that spot to work out what we're all trying to do, how we get more punters in the door, how we can make the game sort of relevant in today's society. So, yeah, I just think, it's amazing when you go outside your four walls of your business and invite people to give you ideas or ask opinions. And I had my marketing team go to a radio station yesterday to review our marketing and look at different marketing concepts, and they come away just really invigorated. So just on the referees, is there another way that we can look to upskill them, train them and manage them?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've been a great believer for many years now that the marketing side of the game is sadly lacking. But as far as your team goes, now tell us a bit about this Max Burry. Is it Burry? Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, Burry. Yeah, so I can give you quite a good insight on him. He went to school with my middle child, so he's comes from a rugby union background, but more league. He went to Holy Cross College in Sydney, and Gladesville, very famous nursery for West Tigers rugby players. Luke Brooks, Moses, what's Moses' last name? The halfback for Parramatta went there. Then they've also had Benny Elias, the Sheridan. They all went through that school. So very famous rugby league school. He come through the Balmain system, played SG ball, etc., and was heading down that rugby league pathway. started playing rugby union for Norths and has been battling away there for the last 5 years. There's no doubt he's probably been the form 5'8" in that competition for a number of periods, taking Norths to a win when they won the Shoot Shield, and has performed well. So he's been on a training contract with us for the last 5 or 6 months, seeing our coaches watching him and working out what happens. He's normally been flying back to Sydney to play for Norths each week. But recently he's been going away with the Australian Sevens team, and he's been playing for that group. We got an injury to Bryce, an opportunity come up. He played his first game against the Crusaders, and then he's obviously gone from strength to strength. So it's a really exciting one because it's a person come through the pathway system at club rugby, which is where we want all our players to come from, and it hasn't come through the academy structures or things like that. And so we're very pleased with him. I think he's given us a lot of pluses, especially his ability to kick a ball. He put us in a good position. I think it's given us continuity, and on top of that, he's one hell of a good bloke. He's a great racketeer, and he loves a story, and he's a very popular bloke back in Sydney, and he's been proven to be a popular teammate of the team players over here.
Fantastic, some smart recruiting, and on top of all that, of course, he can kick goals, kick some beautiful goals.
Yeah, he's always been a good goal kicker, so we won't put the kiss of death on him, and we just hope he continues. The one thing I do know, having been involved in the game for quite some time, is that these young guys who play 3 or 4 matches in a row, they have the ceiling, and they have to be managed carefully. And you would have seen that with the young tight end prop, Teffa. He's really struggled in terms. So he's played, I think, 15 matches on a trot, and they need to be looked after. And much brighter coaches than me, Kevin Sheedy used to say, you play your young guys 4 games, then you rest them for 4, then you bring them back for 4. So that's probably where we're at.
Yeah, on the recruitment side, huge signing, one of the world's best halfbacks, Nick White. That's pretty exciting for you for next season.
Yeah, Matt Hodgson has done a real good job in that sort of space. In regards to the recruitment, he's been on Nick's tail for quite some time. He's done a good job in that space. We believe that we need leaders, and leaders are really, really important to us. And with the young average age of 22, 23, the more leaders we can get, the better it is.
I think with Nick going west, it throws a signal out that he obviously rates the environment you're operating in, so it's pretty good all round, really.
Yeah, I think it's a real good outcome for everyone. We weren't aware that Nick was heading overseas. We just stumbled upon that by luck, and we from there we went to into mode quite quickly. Matt made contact with his management group. We contacted Rugby Australia, and the fact that we can keep a leader of Australian rugby, one of the best players in the country, is not heading overseas for a retirement check is brilliant. And I just think he's going to have a massive impact on our players.
And I'm sure he'll enjoy the environment over west because it's different in a good way.
Yeah, look, I think also we'll make sure that him and his family settle in quickly.
Fantastic. Of course, you're where you want to be at this time of the season. You're in the top 8. You've got a couple of your next 2 matches, the Melbourne Rebels in Melbourne, the Chiefs in Perth. The boys, do you think the boys are up for it?
Like anything in life, you want to be in charge of your own destiny. So that's what we have. We say we're in charge of that. So we pick up those 2 wins, we're through. We pick up 1 win. We're probably getting a bit nervous the following week. If we lose this week, we're very, very nervous there. So if you're in charge of your own destiny, you know what you're trying to achieve, and you've got a good plan. I feel that the boys got everything to play for.
Well, you've got a terrific home record. You're unbeaten at home. And I was going to ask you, is the travel factor significant for you to having to go east every second game or virtually every second game? Is that a factor?
Yeah, we sent SANZAR and Rugby Australia a study which shows that every time you go over a time zone, it affects your performance by 3.1%. So every time we go to New Zealand, taking out injuries and selection problems, etc., our performance at best will be 88% of 100. So, and that's not taking the fact that you're going to Invercargill or Palmerston North to play matches. So that study's been done by the University of WA, and it clearly indicates it's a 3.1% effect on performance every time that you cross the time zone, and so that's clearly shows the effect it has on us when we travel. And this week we go to the Rebels, and we know it'll be an effect of about 6%, and that's what it'll look like. We just got to work out how much of those things can we take out of the equation. Do we go a day early to Melbourne? Do we take extra players? So we're trying to work that one out. Matt Hodgson, the general manager of rugby, has a grand idea that we just stay on Perth time zones, so we don't change. We eat breakfast when it's breakfast time, we eat lunch when it's lunchtime in Perth, and we just do it that way. So if you're playing a 7 o'clock kickoff game in New Zealand, it's really a 2:30 kickoff game back in Perth. What's your problem? So it's interesting ways to look at it from my perspective.
It's the same theory you use when you go overseas to Europe, isn't it? From the Southern Hemisphere, you try and adapt to their time zones before you go.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of very bright people with a lot of very good ideas. The only solution I've ever found is sleep, and it normally takes a couple of days. So look, I think in this particular case that we've got a lot of good, intelligent people working behind the scenes, but you can see the effect it's had. But as I said, we scored 18 tries in 3 matches in NZ, so it didn't really affect the performance too much. It was just our interpretation of the referee, or being hammered with penalties from our own mistakes.
Yeah. So your head coach Simon Cron, is he happy to date with the team's progress? Is the team where he wants it to be?
So from my perspective, I've worked with some of the most outstanding head coaches I think New Zealand's produced, and Kieran Kane is probably an unsung hero of NZ rugby, and those people from the Marlborough district will know that the crazy professor's one of the best head coaches got put breath into. So he's an exceptional coach. I think undervalued at New Zealand at super level, and misunderstood at times. Leo McDonald and Andrew Goodman, again, 3 outstanding head coaches I've worked with. Simon's up there, and if not better than all of them. He is a man driven. He hasn't come here to collect a check. He's come here because he's got ambition to coach Australia. He's done a brilliant job as a chief executive. I couldn't wish for more. It's a pleasure to work closely with him. It's a pleasure every day to see how he's driving the team. It's a pleasure to watch how he's getting the best out of his coaching group, and I just think Australian rugby is very fortunate to have an exceptional coach growing within our system.
Yeah, it's wonderful. He's doing a wonderful job, and of course, pretty exciting times for the women's team, the Western Force ladies. They had a couple of great wins over the Melbourne Rebels and the Fijiana Drua, who went on to win the competition.
Yeah, so we're claiming we're the Super W champions.
Yeah.
We beat the Druas, so that's our claim to fame. We were the last team to beat them, so we've celebrated long and hard as champions. But on a serious note, Matt Hodgson and Claudia Bell have done a great job in revigorating female rugby across from Perth. The professionalism that the girls showed, the professionalism of the coaches, that produced a great program. It was great coming into work here at 6:30. You see the girls out there doing a sprint session or an aerobic session, and you'd go, how good's that? And then they go to work, and by the time you're heading home at 6 o'clock, they're back in here, getting ready for doing a weight session, or they could be getting ready for training. So they trained 3 times a week. They really put the effort in. As a team, they also train outside. You'd come in here, they'd be doing their work by themselves. So it's a credit to the girls. It's a credit to Matt and the team. got really high hopes of where we're heading. Our key here in this space is that Matt's filling a hole. He's a general manager of rugby, so he's got a massive job. As he calls this, this is his part-time job. He's actually putting himself up for Volunteer of the Year to doing the job outside his normal hours.
Good
but he has been incredible in the way he's brought this team together, and more importantly, a group of ladies. I saw them in their first training session and watched them at the end. It was just magnificent, and we're very proud of what they've achieved.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, I mean, women's rugby, it's a new jewel in the rugby crown, isn't it? It's undergoing an explosion, I know, in New Zealand and Australia too, with the professionalism coming into it.
Yeah, look, I reckon it's got an interesting time at the moment. It's very much 18 plus, and also it's very difficult for girls if they go straight into the 15s game. So I think Rugby Australia needs to develop a 7s, a 10s and a 15s program that aligns very, very quickly. So girls at different ages can drop into that. I think at years 5 and 6 at primary school, under 15 and under 18, we've got to put our resources into that. If I'm a young girl and I'm looking at playing AFL or NRL, I'm not going to the Olympics, and I'm not going to the Commonwealth Games. And I just think we've got a unique opportunity if we can get our pathways right at primary 5 and 6, and then in particular under 15 and under 18. So the girls feel safe when they're coming into the environment. It was great watching our team. I mean, I haven't got it accurate, but I think we had something like between all the girls, 15 babies or children. So it was incredible to watch that experience and what was going on in that space where you've got mums trying to balance a professional rugby life, but more importantly, trying to enjoy the being a mum, which is something that we forget as parents, how hard that is without trying to be a professional sportsman.
Yeah, the toughest job in the world for sure. Well, Tony, thank you very much for your time. We love having you as a guest, and all the very best to the boys and yourself against the Melbourne Rebels on Friday.
Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment. I know you've got a lot of listeners or watchers in Melbourne, but I'd just like to acknowledge Billy Guyton. Had a lot to do with Billy over 8 years. I think a very good human being, but very complex human being. Rest in peace, Billy. I know you'll be watching down on all of us, and I hope you're smiling and having fun up there.
Thanks, Tony. That's awesome. Much appreciated.
Cheers, mate. See you later.